Here are 10 specific spiritual ideas that I've stolen from books that I've read. I've been on this spiritual path for over 40 years now. I've read hundreds of books, sometimes multiple times. And these are the ideas that didn't just stay on the page. These are perspectives that I've adopted, practices I've committed to, disciplines I've instilled, and ways of being that have completely transformed my life. Not just changed how I think, changed how I actually live, how I show up for my clients, how I experience my aliveness. Idea number 1, the gap between thoughts is where peace lives. That's from The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I used to think peace was something I had to create, something I had to earn through meditation or prayer or perfect circumstances. Then one day, sitting in traffic, fuming about being late, I caught myself being between one angry thought and the next, and there it was, a pause, a tiny space of quiet. And in that space, nothing was wrong. The traffic was there, still there. I was still late. But in the gap between the thoughts, I wasn't suffering. Tolle taught me something profound. Peace isn't something you make happen. It's what already is there when you stop thinking for just 1 second. Now I practice it everywhere before I respond to a difficult email, before I react to something that irritates me. I find the gap, that 3 seconds of silence before I speak. In that space, I remember who I really am, not the stressed out version of myself, not the reactive version, the peaceful version that was there all along. Idea number 2, you're not your thoughts, you're the awareness behind them. That's from I Am That by Nisargadatta, Maharaj. For years, I believed every thought in my head was mine. If I thought I'm not good enough, that was the truth. If I thought I can't do this, that was reality. Then I read Nisargadatta's book, and he said something that broke my brain open. You're not the thoughts. You're the one watching the thoughts. And I sat with that for days. If I can watch my thoughts, then who's doing the watching? And one morning, I woke up anxious. The usual spiral of worry thoughts started playing through my head. But instead of believing them, I just watched them like clouds passing by. And I realized I'm not the clouds. I'm the sky. The thoughts kept coming, but I didn't have to be them anymore. And this changed everything. Because when you stop being your thoughts, they lose power over you. And you can have the thought, I'm a failure, and no, it's just a thought, not the truth, not you, it's just weather passing through. Idea number 3, your beliefs are like software in the background. That's from The Virus of the Mind by Richard Brodie. I never questioned my beliefs. They were just there, like the air, like I breathed. I have to work hard to be worthy. People can't be trusted. I'm not the kind of person who, well, fill in the blank. And then Richard Brodie compared beliefs to computer viruses, programs running in the background that you didn't install, that you didn't choose, but they're running your life anyway. And just like a virus, they replicate, they spread, they infect everything that you do. One day I sat down and I asked myself, which beliefs am I running that aren't even mine? So many came from my parents, from my culture, from one bad experience that I had 20 years ago. And I started treating limiting beliefs like malware, identifying them, questioning them, deleting them, and installing new beliefs, ones that I actually choose. I am enough as I am. People are doing the best they can do. I'm capable of learning anything. And this idea changed everything, because you can't change your life until you change the software running it. Now, I regularly scan my beliefs, ask, is this program serving me? And if it's not, I uninstall it. Idea number 4, every action, thought, and feeling creates your future. That's from The Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukav. I used to think success meant having all the answers, being the expert, being the authority, the one who fixes everything. That was external power, what I could do and what I knew and what modalities I'd mastered. Then Gary Zukav taught me about authentic power, and it's completely shattered and shifted the way I worked with clients. Authentic power isn't about what you have, it's about who you are. I'll never forget the moment this became real for me. I was working with a client who was completely blocked. Nothing was shifting. And I could feel myself getting frustrated, trying harder, using more techniques, pulling out the big guns, trying to control the outcome. Then I stopped and I asked myself, what would authentic power look like right now? And the answer was real simple. Stop trying to fix. Just be present. So I stopped the session. I just sat with her and asked, what do you actually need right now? And what she told me changed everything. She didn't need another healing technique. She needed permission to feel what she was feeling. We just sat together. I held space and she cried and she released the energy that had been stuck for months. It moved. Not because I did something powerful, but because I was willing to be powerless. That's what I understood by Gary Zukav said, that every thought, feeling, and action I take creates my future right now, not someday, right now. When I operate from external power, trying to control or prove something or to perform, that creates resistance. When I operate from authentic power, being present, aligned, genuine, I create transformation. And now I constantly ask myself, am I trying to control this? Or am I choosing to align with what wants to emerge? And that one question changed my entire work, my entire life. Idea number 5, what you resist persists. From Letting Go, The Pathway of Surrender by David R. Hawkins. I spent a decade trying to get rid of my anger. Spiritual books told me anger was bad, that enlightened people didn't get angry. So every time anger showed up, I just push it down, meditated it away, prayed for it to leave. And you know what happened? It got worse. It started showing up in my body as tension, in my relationships as passive aggression, in my dreams as rage I couldn't control. And then I read Hawkins, and what you resist persists. He said the only way through emotion is to fully feel it, not to think about it, not to analyze it, but just feel it in your body and let it move. So the next time anger came, I did something different. I didn't push it away. I sat with it. I felt the heat in my chest, tightness in my jaw, and I just let it be there without judgment, just noticing without trying to fix it. And after 3 minutes, using my quantum energy tools, it dissolved, like it was never there. Now I know the feelings we resist become our prison. The feelings that we allow become our freedom. Idea number 6. The wound is the place where light enters you. That's from the essential Rumi translations by Coleman Banks. I used to hide my scars, the divorce, my financial failure, the illness, the depression. I thought spiritual people were supposed to be whole, put together, healed. And then I read Rumi. The wound is the place where the light enters you. I didn't first believe him. How could that pain be my gift? But then I started noticing something. Every person who's ever helped me, they had been broken too. The healer who guided me through my darkest period had been there through that complete breakdown herself. The mentor who believed in me had been homeless. The friend who held me through my darkest night knew darkness herself. Their wounds hadn't made them less. They'd made them more compassionate, more real, more capable of love. So I stopped hiding. I started sharing my story, not for pity, but because my cracks let the light out, and the light helped other people find their way in the dark. Now I know we're not broken, we're breaking open. And that's where the light gets in. Idea number 7. Forgiveness means giving up all hope for a better past. That's from Forgiveness, 21 Days to Forgive Everyone and Everything by Eliane Danzin. I held on to resentment for too many years against my alcoholic father, against my mother, against my ex-boyfriend who betrayed me, against myself for all the ways I'd failed. People kept telling me to forgive, and I didn't know how. How do you forgive someone who hurt you that badly? Then Iyanla said something that cracked me open. Forgiveness is giving up all hope for a better past. Let me say that again. Forgiveness is giving up all hope for a better past. And I finally understood. I wasn't holding on to the person. I was holding on to the fantasy that maybe somehow the past could be different. That if I was just stay angry enough, replayed it enough, it would change. But it never would. The past is done. And my resentment was just carrying me yesterday's pain into today. So I made a choice. I let go of the hope that it could have been different. I accepted what was. And in that acceptance, I found freedom. Forgiveness isn't about saying what happened is okay. It's saying I'm not going to let it define me anymore today. Idea number 8. Between stimulus and response, there's a space. From Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl survived the Holocaust. And in that hell, he discovered something that saved him. Between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And when I first read that, I thought I understood, but I didn't really get it until I experienced it myself. I had just finished a deep healing session with a client. She seemed calm, relaxed, and fine. And after we finished, about an hour later, I got this text, long and angry, telling me the session brought up things that she wasn't ready to face, that I'd pushed too hard, gone too deep. My first instinct was to defend myself, to explain or process, to justify what I'd done. And my heart was racing. My mind was spinning with all kinds of responses. And then I remembered Frankl's words, between stimulus and response, there's a space. So I took a breath, just one. And in that breath, I found the space that he was talking about. The stimulus was her text. My automatic response would have been to react, to defend, to explain, to fix immediately. In that space, that one breath, I chose differently. I simply wrote back, I hear you. Thank you for sharing this with me. No defense, no explanation, just presence. 2 days later, she texted me, I'm so sorry. I needed to blame someone. The session was exactly what I needed. And that space changed everything. Now I practice it constantly. The client canceled last minute, space. My own thoughts try to drag me into anxiety, space. A space where my freedom lives. Because I can't control what happens to me, but I can always choose how I respond. Idea number 9. Miracles happen when we align with natural laws, from The Physics of Miracles by Dr. Richard Bartlett. I used to pray for miracles, wait for divine intervention, hope that somehow something outside of me would fix everything. And then Dr. Bartlett taught me something radical. Miracles aren't violations of natural law. They're expressions of laws we don't yet understand. And he said that when we align with these principles, consciousness, frequency, intention, what we call impossible becomes inevitable. I saw this firsthand with my client. She's been told that her condition was permanent, irreversible. But something shifted when we stopped fighting. When she stopped resisting and started aligning, within months, the impossible healing happened. Her doctors called it a miracle. It wasn't magic. It was alignment. And now I don't wait for miracles. I create the conditions for them. I align my thoughts with what I want to create, my emotions with the frequency of possibility, and my actions with the universal principles. And I've watched miracles become normal. Not because I'm special, but because I stopped violating natural laws and started cooperating with them. Miracles aren't rare. We just make them hard because we're fighting against how things actually work. And idea number 10, love is not something you do, it's something you are. That's from the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. I used to perform love. Say the right words, do the right things, make the right gestures. I thought love was actions that I had to remember to do, like checking boxes on a checklist. Did I tell them I love them? Check. Did I do something nice? Check. Did I show up the way I'm supposed to? Check. It was exhausting. And it never felt like enough. Don Miguel said something that freed me. Love is not something you do, it's something you are. And I had to sit with that because I had been taught the opposite, that love is what you do, not who you are. But he was right. When I stopped trying to perform love and started being love, everything changed. I didn't have to remember to be kind. Kindness flows naturally. I didn't have to force myself to be patient. Patience was just there. I didn't have to manufacture compassion. It was just who I was. Love stopped being a doing and became a being, and the people around me felt it. Not because I was doing more, but because I was being more myself. Now I know you can't give what you don't have. You can't love others if you're not connected to love itself. So I don't try to do love anymore. I just return to love again and again. And from that place, everything I do is love, from the ordinary things to the extraordinary things. So these are 10 ideas. They didn't just change my thinking, they changed my life. How I show up as a healer, how I show up as a business partner, how I show up as a human being. And I know they can change yours too. If you've made it this far into this video, leave me a comment. Tell me which one of these ideas resonated with you the most. I appreciate you watching, and if this type of content is something that you like, give it a thumbs up, because that way YouTube will share it with more people just like you and me. And I'll see you in the next one.